So things are changing in Niger. As I did say in a series of previous videos, I'm just gonna go through detailed review and analysis of what is going on in Niger today. Please make sure you follow us on Telegram, because this whole video is not going to feed on TikTok. So you have to watch the full video on Telegram or YouTube. So make sure you press like, make sure you share this video, make sure you follow us, because we're going to be doing quite a lot of interesting content regarding the developments, political developments in Africa. So as you can see from this article, it seems like the British are not very happy with what France was doing in this country, in Niger. Okay, so if some of you don't know where Niger is, you can see this is Africa here on this map. Is right here. Okay, this is Niger, as you can see on here. Okay, we're gonna go through the map later on anyways. So the first thing we get from this article is, so this is from, hold up a minute, this is 18 hours ago. So this was published today by the BBC. They say Niger has become the latest country in West Africa where the army has seized control, following Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali and Chad, all former French colonies. Since 1990, a striking 78% of the 27 coups in sub-Saharan Africa have occurred in Francophone states, leading some commentators to ask whether France or the legacy of French colonialism is to blame. Obviously, they're not going to talk about British colonialism. They're attacking French colonialism in this case, and they're asking themselves, these coups has something to do with the legacy of French colonialism. Well, let's have a look. Further down, they say, many of the coup plotters will certainly like us to think so. So Colonel Abdoulaye Maiga, I know him by Maiga only, who was named Prime Minister by the military junta in Mali in September 2022, launched a scathing attack on France. So criticizing neo-colonialists, condescending paternalists, and so I don't know these words anyways. So they're basically saying that he, and this is regarding the summit in Russia. What happened is Russia invited the African leaders just to discuss the political situation in the country, to discuss the war in Ukraine, and basically Russia did forgive debts to many African countries by billions, and then they also decided to supply a number of African countries with free grain, and to also cover the cost of transportation of that grain to Africa. So in this summit, he did clearly attack France and its neo-colonial policies in the country, in Niger, and he did clearly say that well, they won independence from France, right? And okay, so we go down here. So in Niger, which neighbors both countries, allegations that President Mohamed Bazoum was a puppet for, this is the former president of Niger, okay? They're saying that he was a puppet for French interests were used to legitimize his removal from power. So they're saying that the fact that he was a puppet of the French, of France, that gave them authorization to remove this guy from power, okay? And I don't know what you think about this, but obviously it is what it is. And to be honest, in many African countries today, it's difficult to change the government if you don't do it through a military coup. So these guys decided to conduct a military coup and to remove the president, which they believe he was a French puppet. And we'll find out why. Here, this is a slight criticism of British colonialism as well. So he's saying the historical record provides some support for these grievances. French colonial rule established political systems designed to extract valuable resources while using repressive strategies to retain control. And then they say, so did British colonial rule. But what was distinctive about France's role in Africa was the extent to which it continued to engage its critics would say meddle in the politics and economics of its former territories after independence. They're saying this is particular to France, but obviously the British did exactly the same thing. The fact that the Anglophone countries today, they pretty much incorporated into the neoliberal world order, and they're basically saying in the Anglophone countries that there haven't been many coups. However, in the French one, there have been. Obviously, the conditions in the Anglophone countries, they differ from the French ones. But don't think that is different. You have countries like Nigeria where corruption is right on top, is over the sky, is outside of this world, it goes into a different universe, just like in many other countries. But the French countries, the former French colonies, they have their own problems. So the British also have, the former British colonies, they also have their own problems. So here is another criticism: is 7 of the 9 francophone states in West Africa still use the CFA franc, which is pegged to the euro and guaranteed by France as the currency, a legacy of French economic policy towards its colonies. France also forged defense agreements that saw it regularly intervene militarily on behalf of unpopular pro-French leaders to keep them in power. So I'm surprised, because here you have the BBC, okay, a Western media outlet, basically criticizing the French and the neo-colonial actions and policies, agreements with pretty much corrupt leaders. This is what they're telling you here in Niger. I'm surprised, because I haven't seen that much. And at this moment, this is not what France actually needs. Okay, and we're gonna see more criticisms coming from Britain and even from the United States regarding the treatment, how France treat its former colonies. Okay, so we're gonna move from this article to the next one. Okay, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Okay, as you can see here on this video I'm showing here, these guys holding the Russian flag. Okay, they're holding, on one side they have the flag of Niger, and on the other side they have the Russian flag. Okay, and this basically says that they're asking Russia for help. Okay, they've seen what the support that Russia has provided to other countries, in fact neighboring countries like Mali, for example, and they want the exact same thing. By the way, this is the self-declared new leader of Niger, as the West want to call this guy. Okay, so that's his name, Abdurrahman. So let's go down here. Well, it actually says, oh, I didn't pay, so we can't read it. Anyways. So they're basically explaining what happened in Niger. So if you look at the title, it says Niger coup leaders end military cooperation with France, deepening concerns over anti-Western turn. Move to cut ties with former colonial power come amid threats of a military intervention by other Western African states. So we're gonna go through this, but just to summarize it, ECOWAS is an economic organization. That's how it started, and that's what it is. People please don't get confused. They have a military arm, but ECOWAS is an economic organization. Then they have the military arm, which they have intervened in different conflicts, but they pretty much intervene in other African countries on behalf of the West. So this military arm basically is used by ECOWAS. ECOWAS has requested a military intervention in Niger. Other countries that have requested that, it was pretty much France. Okay, so here you got ECOWAS. which is no more than an organization that follows the orders from France, asking Nigeria and other countries that are bordering Niger to enter the country in order to change the government or to put the former president back in power. Okay, so Nigeria was one of the main countries that wanted to intervene. However, this was stopped. We'll discuss this later anyways. So they're saying that they're ending the military cooperation with France, which is obvious. And these are steps that they were followed by Burkina Faso, they were followed by Mali and any other country that wants to get rid of French influence in the country. One of the main things you have to do is to cut the military cooperation with France. And apparently this is what they have done in Niger. And they're saying this is deepening concerns of an anti-Western turn. Part of I mean, this is the Wall Street Journal. This is so it's a Western media outlet, and obviously this also is going to affect them, okay, because they actually believe that the military junta took power, they are anti-Western. That's the mentality, which is pretty much true, but they're not anti-Western in the sense that they hate the West and they don't want to do anything with the West. They're anti-Western in the sense that they don't want the West to continue with the external policies that they have had in Niger for the last decade or so. So that's what actually Africans from Niger see as anti-West. However, the West see anti-West as them not liking the West and wanting to get rid of everything that is Western in the country. So we move into CNN. This is another Western media outlet. By the way, I'm just going through articles because I want people to see my sources. I don't want people to think that I'm making up all this stuff. I read every single article and I'm putting them here together in order to help me with the discussion. Okay. He says France backs regional bid to oust coup leader in Niger ahead of deadline. So after the coup, France, as I told you before, when I was mentioning ECOWAS intervention in Niger or what they were trying to do, France was the main country that basically asked for a military intervention in Niger. So here CNN says, France said it backs efforts by members of an African regional bloc to thwart the coup in Niger, as the clock ticks closer to a deadline for the new military junta to stand down or face possible military intervention. The future of Niger and the stability of the entire region are at stake, the French Foreign Ministry said in a statement. Why? Anyways, on Sunday, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, gave the coup leaders 1 week, which ends today, by the way. They gave them 1 week to release and reinstate the country's democratically elected president, Mohamed Bazoum. Should the junta remain in charge, the group said it will take all measures necessary to restore constitutional order, including using force. So the deadline has passed, but so far, nothing has happened. Okay, and we'll explain to you why. So ECOWAS defense chiefs met in Nigeria this week to organize a collective response to the coup and plan a potential military response, which they say is the last resort, basically. Okay, not only that, they also impose sanctions in Niger. Okay, so they impose economic sanctions in the country, which is another violation of human rights, but who cares about it? So as you can see here, France is moving strings in Africa in order to get African countries to pretty much do their job. Okay, like France wants to change this military junta in Niger, and they're pretty much using ECOWAS to do this on their behalf. Okay, so we move to the next article by the LSE. If someone doesn't know what this stands for, is London School of Economics. So you got these I think he's Senegalese writer. His name is Ndongo Zambazila. he asked that the CFA franc, which is something that we mentioned earlier when we were reading that article from the BBC, it was officially created on the 26th of December 1945 by decree of General de Gaulle, okay? And used across much of Africa today is a colonial relic. For those hoping to export competitive products, obtain affordable credit, work for the integration of continental trade, or fight for an African free from imperialist control, the CFA franc is an anachronism demanding orderly and methodical elimination. Okay, so the current president of France, Emmanuel Macron, he actually went to different African countries, and he pretty much ended the CFA franc. That's what we actually thought, because that's what he actually said. But what he did, he just created two banks instead of them depositing the money in France, which was one of the conditions of the CFA, which is a very dodgy financial system that pretty much forces African countries to put a large percentage of the income, of the money they generate, of their savings into a bank account in France, okay, controlled by the French government and by the National French Bank, and then they will charge them interest for keeping that money there. And also every time they want to take money off that bank account, they will charge them fees and interest on top of that. Now, he eliminated that, but the difference now is the money don't have to be kept in France. The money can be kept in Africa. However, there are two banks that will control this money now, and these two banks are also controlled by France. And if you read this article, it's pretty much what he explains to you. He explains to you the new mechanism of the CFA, which he wasn't ended. It was just changed. Okay, so I just wanted to show you this just for you to understand the colonial legacy of France and how France is still very involved, and he's got a lot of influence in the finances, economics and politics of the former colonies, which is something that this BBC article was pointing at. So we move to the World Bank, okay, just to understand a bit more about Niger and its GDP, etc., and also its economic situation. So according to the World Bank, Niger, which is located in the heart of the Sahel, has a poorly diversified economy, with agriculture accounting for 40% of its GDP. More than 10 million persons, 41.8% of the population, were living in extreme poverty in 2021. So Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world, one of the poorest countries in Africa. Okay, this is well known, and the World Bank is confirming this to you now. So how comes a country that exports so much in terms of natural resources is one of the poorest countries in the world? So we're gonna discuss this later. So Niger is grappling with the influx of refugees fleeing conflicts in Nigeria and Mali. Very important. As of 31st of August 2022, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees had identified 294,467 refugees and almost 350,000 displaced persons in the country. And they forgot to mention here, I don't know if they did it on purpose, so because they did say refugees from Nigeria and Mali, and when they say Nigeria, they mean northern Nigeria, because this is where there's terrorist activities, okay? But they forgot to mention those that fled Libya as well. I don't know if they've done it on purpose, but Libya in 2011 was bombed by the USA, by the United Kingdom, and by France. And these countries pretty much what they did, there was a catastrophe in Libya. Okay, there was a war, not just the Western countries intervened, but there was also an internal war, and the people from the south of Libya, the Tuareg people, the black African people, they have to flee the country because they were persecuted. They did all kind of atrocities to them, and mainly the people from Misrata, and they have to leave to the south. So to the south of Libya, that we will see later, is Niger, and this is where many of these groups went to. Okay, so Well, this is the World Bank. There's quite a lot of things to say here that I don't agree with. But if you're interested, have a look at this for you to know the actual finances of the country. I just wanted to point at that point that it's one of the poorest countries in the world and in Africa. Okay, so now let's go to the French interest in Niger. So this article from Le Monde, The World, it says, how dependent is France on Niger's uranium? It says the military coup in Niger has raised concerns about uranium mining in the country by the French group Orano, which was formerly named Areva, okay, or Areva. This is a very controversial company. So, and the consequences for France's energy independence. So, 1 week after the military coup in Niger led by General Abdourahmane Tiani, France completed the evacuation of 600 French nationals on Wednesday, the 2nd. This uncertain political context is also beginning to raise economic concerns. In France, fears are particularly focused on the exploitation of uranium from Niger and the possible consequences of this energy independence, a natural resource essential to the operation of French nuclear power plants. Uranium mine in Niger has been exploited for over 4 decades by the French nuclear fuel cycle group Orano, formerly Areva. Okay, so there are 3 mines operating in Niger. The multinational, which is 90% owned by the French estate. Let me say that again, 90% owned by the French state, operates 3 mines in Niger, only one of which is currently in production. So the air mines, whose operating company Somai is 63.4% owned by Orano, are based near the town of Arlit in the desert to the north of Niger. Although the mine is nearing depletion, its operation has been extended until 2040. The Akokan mine site, this is another mine, around 10 kilometers from Arlit, has been closed since the end of March 21. And with reserve exhausted after 4 decades of mining. Alright, next one is finally, Orano holds 63.52% stake in the Inmoraren mine, located 80 kilometers south of Arlit, which is considered to be one of the world's largest uranium deposits. However, after an operating permit was issued in 2009, production at the site was suspended due to a lack of favorable market conditions. Okay, so as you can see here, France has a very large interest when it comes to uranium. Okay, and we're gonna see why. So you can see here in 2022, France had 5 uranium supplies. Okay, they use uranium to generate nuclear energy, to generate electricity. Okay, so as you can see, the main one is Kazakhstan, then you go Uzbekistan, you got Namibia, you go Kyrgyzstan, don't know how to pronounce that country, sorry. You also got the one that we're discussing today is Niger, and Niger is actually the second country that exports the most. As you can see here, is highlighted in the orange one. Okay, you can see Kazakhstan exports 23,822 tons to France, whilst Niger exports 17,615. So it's the second largest exporter of uranium to France. Okay, it's saying over the last 10 years, the 88,200 tons of natural uranium imported into France came mainly from 3 countries, which are the ones that I just mentioned to you. Okay, and as it says here, that Kazakhstan is the world's largest uranium producer, and it's a country that shared a very large border with Russia. It was a former country of the USSR, and today Western industry is pretty much in this country. They control many sectors, or they have agreements with many sectors, and they operate in many sectors, petrol, mining, etc. Okay, so we move to the next one. The next one, this report is from Oxfam. It's another it's an NGO, it's a British NGO. Okay, And this is an old one, okay, and I haven't seen a most recent one, but this one heavily criticizes the actions of France in Niger, and it goes in line with what the BBC article was saying. This was published on the 19th of November 2013. Okay, it said Niger, one of the poorest countries in the world, and Areva, a world leader in nuclear energy, spearheading France's economic diplomacy, have for the past several months been renegotiating the full Nigerian uranium mining contract, which will run until 31st December 2013. So in a briefing note on mining agreements between Areva and Niger, Oxfam and Rotab, both members of the published What You Pay coalition, denounced the secrecy and pressure surrounding the negotiations. Okay, so the organizations also denounced a tax regime that is more accommodative for the multinational which has been mining Nigerian uranium for 50 years, accounting for nearly 40% of its global supply. So it's telling you here that there is unfairness here on the agreement between Areva and the country itself, Niger. Okay, so it goes through the tax advantages, okay, that this company gets in Niger. It pretty much says that a provision for the reconstruction of mines also lets them set aside 20% of the profits, which are therefore excluded from corporate taxes. So out of the taxes, 20%, they don't pay for it. It also says that Areva has got two subsidiaries in Niger, Somaïr and Cominac. We discussed these companies earlier. They benefit from a number of tax advantages, sections from duties, VAT, and even fuel taxes, which they use in massive amounts. So in 2010, the two subsidiaries extracted a total of 114,346 metric tons of uranium in Niger, representing an export value of 2.3 trillion CFA francs, over 3.5 million euros. Okay, take this figure here, 2.3 trillion CFA. From that sum, Niger was only paid 300 billion CFA francs. What kind of joke is this? You can see this is a joke, right? This is a bad deal, and many people will say, okay, that's Niger. They didn't know how to reach a deal with Areva, therefore that's why they were getting so little money. And other people will say, actually, that's Areva and the French government forcing Niger to accept that deal. Otherwise, they'll have political problems in the country. And this is pretty much what happened. And this is pretty much what the BBC article that I read at the beginning was saying, that France was meddling in the internal politics of the former colonies, mainly Niger. So there is this Oxfam, basically, they just denounce everything that the company is doing in Niger. There is no transparency, they pollute the environment, and many other things. But I encourage you to read it, to have a look at it. Even though it's old, it's still relevant today. Okay, we move to the next one here. So this company Areva, it became they changed the name, basically. It became a different company called Uranium. I don't know how to pronounce that. So you can see from this article from African News, Niger uranium mine set to operate until 2040. Man, 10 years, 2040. Okay, that's just mad. Okay, that's sorry, I say 10 years, that's 17 years. I mean, this was before the coup, okay? But this government, the former government, they signed a deal with the private company for this company to continue operating until 2040. We're in 2023. This is crazy, okay? And we read earlier from this Oxfam article how much this company was pocketing out of this deal. So they're getting an additional 17 years to continue exploiting the mineral resources of this country. Anyways, it says the government of Niger and French nuclear firm Uranium on Thursday signed a deal to extend the operational life of the country's sole uranium mine. The overall partnership agreement means the submarine mine in northern Niger could carry on working until 2040, 11 years beyond its currently expected closure. Okay? And discussion focused on licensing arrangements and cost reduction in particular, she said. Uranium is the restructured successor to the estate on Arriva, which began uranium mining in the former French colony around 50 years ago, extracting raw material intended mainly for France's nuclear industry. This is, I mean, if you keep looking down here, you see basically what we read before, okay? Okay, I think there was something interesting here. So the deal concerning Somai, whose name is derived from the air mining company, includes a pledge by Uranium to inject 26 billion CFA francs into education and other priority sectors in Niger, the company CEO Nicolas Mais said. So as many companies do this, okay? You strike a good deal and we're gonna give you money just for education, which is something that they should have done many years ago, but they're just doing this now, just to try to show the world that they actually they have this corporate responsibility, they're caring about the people. But actually, if you see how much money they've given, 20 billion for education, and that's it, they give the money, I don't think they'll care much about where it goes, apart from opening a couple of schools. But then what happens is they give 20 billion, but they make trillions. So it's a good deal for them, but it's not a good deal for the country. And this is one of the main reasons why there was a coup. Simple. Just like the BBC article is saying. Sorry, I keep referring to the article, but it was actually quite good. So we go to a statistic here, and just to see again which countries export uranium. So you can see mine production of uranium in major countries worldwide 2022, last year. So Kazakhstan is the first one, followed by Canada, Namibia, Australia. Niger is down here. Okay, you can see it down here. So there are countries that export more uranium than Niger. However, the proximity of Niger to France, it makes it one of the main exporters of uranium to France. And I mean, the country doesn't only have uranium, they've got more natural resources. You can see here, one of the main exports according to the OEC is, I always use this website, but it's actually good. As you know, the data they show you is like data from 2021. If you want to see data, like current data, you have to pay a subscription, and I didn't pay for that. Anyways, you can see that one of the major exports is gold. We're talking about 71.4%. This back in 2021. Things didn't change much. People know, they're not talking too much about this, but this is also a very interesting fact. Like, if this military junta, well, they took control, so they also took control over the export of gold from Niger to other countries, mainly France. Okay, and as you can see here, they export other things as well, and the main countries that they export the goods to are here. Okay, so you can see France, it appears down here, is 5.21% of the exports, but the major one is the UAE with 70.8% of the exports to this country. The UAE has invested quite a lot of money in Niger. Okay, there you go. And then we got to, you can see the products here. Uranium is down here, 0.97%. These figures might have changed in 2023. These are from 2 years ago, but as you can see, they export many other things. Just wanted to show you this. Don't think that they just export uranium. And bear this in mind, refined petroleum, because it's very important. They don't just have gold and uranium, they also have petroleum. Okay, so we move to the next article, and which shows you the energy consumption by source in the European Union. Okay, so you can see here one of the biggest ones. Well, is, let me put this closer. Let's do 2019 to 2022. So oil It's one of the main consumptions in the European Union. The one I wanted to show you is this one here, which is nuclear. As we read in the previous article, well, 2 articles ago. So I told you that France has a very big interest on uranium, and uranium is required to generate electricity using nuclear energy. So it tells you, you can see it here, that nuclear energy is very important in Europe in general, and France is one of the main countries, main producers of nuclear energy. Okay, so this coup can create a crisis in Europe when it comes to energy consumption or electricity generation, because actually France, which is one of the main producers of nuclear energy, could run into problems. The French, they already say that they have enough reserves to continue the production of nuclear energy. However, if they ban the export of uranium, which some people say they have already done, Niger has already done that. Some people say they haven't done that yet. But if they do it, France and the European Union in general can be in a very, very deep problem. This explains why the Western countries are very concerned about the situation in Niger, and they don't stop talking about it. Okay, here you got this guy. He's Erdogan. Okay, he's a president from Turkey, or Turkey, whatever you want to call it. I mean, this guy is weird. Sometimes he supports the West, like Finland into NATO and stuff like that, and sometimes he's bring these statements, okay, which is basically saying that Niger's suspension of gold and uranium export to France was the result of years of oppression by Paris. Turkey's President Erdogan told reporters in Istanbul on Friday. So he said this: what France did in Algeria in the past, what it did in Rwanda, what it did in Mali, all these are in all the archives of the world, and especially Africans know this very well. Look right now, they have completely stopped the shipment of gold and uranium to France. This is a response to the oppression that has been inflicted on these countries for years, stated Erdogan. Okay, I mean, I don't trust him at all. I don't trust this guy, but what he's saying here, there are historical facts, right? But as I say, I'm not sure if they completely ban the export of gold and oil and uranium to Europe. I'm not 100% sure. Now we move to the next article, which says that the Nigeria coup could jeopardize oil production boosts, create regional security vacuum. As I told you before, okay, they don't just export gold and uranium, they also export oil. Very important. Okay, and there is a project, and there is a specific country that will be hugely affected by the banning of the export of oil. Okay, and this country is Nigeria, because that project is actually with Nigeria. So pretty much this article, he just ran through everything I just told you now, but I just wanted to show you this. Okay, there you go. So Niger, a key Western ally and security partner and one of the world's biggest uranium producers, pumps around 20,000 BD of oil. Sorry, I don't know what that stands for. And most of it from China National Petroleum Corporation. Projects in the Agadir Rift Basin in the country's southeast. The country's crude is used locally and transported by road to neighboring Nigeria. Okay, so Nigeria has a very big interest on oil, not just oil. We'll show you later. However, Niger is on the verge of a long-awaited production surge, with CNPC due to complete the 110,000, this again, Niger-Benin export pipeline this year. Niger-Benin export pipeline. In March, Niger's oil minister said it was 75% done. So in March this year, 75% of this project was done. Okay, the conduit linking Koulele in Niger to the port of Seme in Benin will transform Niger into a significant regional oil producer and exporter, according to a 2019 National Petroleum Plan. The country is believed to be sitting on 1 billion barrels of crude reserves, according to the African Petroleum Producers Organization. Okay, as you can see here, this project passed through the northern border of Nigeria, and then it goes into the port of Sem in Benin. Okay, this also tells you why Benin has an interest in Niger as well. Okay, so just wanted to show you here. You can go to this article and read it. That is not only uranium. Okay, there's more stuff. Now, 4 more countries sign up for a 25 billion Nigeria to Morocco pipeline project. Okay, this is from 16th of June 2023. This article actually says that the new countries will sign a memorandum of understanding at the ECOWAS Secretariat on Friday are Republic of Benin, Guinea, Liberia, and Ivory Coast. Okay, they join Nigeria, Morocco, Ghana, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Togo, and Mauritania for the multi-billion-dollar Pan-African project expected to deliver about 4 billion cubic feet of gas daily when fully operational. Speaking at the event in Abuja, the group chief executive, Mr. Melekiari, said the project shows that African countries are determined to take their destinies in their hands and bridge the huge energy gap in the continent. I mean, if they sign a deal like Niger signed with Ariba, they're not gonna get much, isn't it? Anyways, they call this a Pan-Africanist project or Pan-African project. I don't really know why, but this is them pretty much exporting gas out of Africa into Europe, and here comes the European interest on this project as well, because this project will run from Nigeria, and you go all the way to Morocco and then enter the European market. And I'll show you European interest. So as you can see here, this is the project. Okay, that this is one of the gas pipelines. Sorry, there was another gas pipeline project that went around the coast. So there are 2. This one here, which goes through from Nigeria to Niger, then Algeria, and then it goes to different places in Northern Africa into Europe. And then there was another one that went through the coast of all these countries that we just mentioned, and it went to Morocco and then into Spain. Okay, but as you can see, this specific one here, Algeria, Nigeria, and Niger have signed a new memorandum of understanding to build the Trans-Saharan Gas Pipeline to bring African gas to starve EU consumers. Okay, the signing ceremony took place in Algiers yesterday, and partners will try to accelerate the project's realization. Okay, so as you can see, Nigeria has got multiple interests in Niger, and they want to become a major exporter of gas and oil to the European Union. Why? Because the European Union actually they banned the export of many Russian goods. Okay, they did not ban the import of Russian gas. However, they just playing around with Russian oil and Russian gas. I'll go to this later. But you can see here, you can go to the European Union website and you get an explanation of why they have to ban all this stuff, due to the war in Ukraine and all that. But you basically got a section here that tells you what goods cannot be exported to Russia from the EU. One of them is energy, industry, equipment, technology, and services. Services, very important. Okay. Anyways, they haven't. Sorry. Let's see the goods as well. What goods cannot be imported from Russia to the EU? As you can see here, one of them is crude oil. Okay, so they put a ban on this, and then they did not ban gas, but they blew up Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. This article from the Washington Post, it says that the US had intelligence of detailed Ukrainian plan to attack the Nord Stream pipeline, if you believe that. But actually, you can see the Western countries were pretty much involved. They knew about this. This was one of the worst environmental catastrophes that we saw last year. And as you can see, they didn't ban the export of gas, but they blew up these two pipelines, okay, that brought gas from Russia all the way to Germany into Europe, okay. However, some countries continue buying gas, like Hungary, Spain. They didn't care. To date, they continue buying Russian gas. However, this was a big blow to Germany, which is actually leading to some kind of German deindustrialization. Okay, many companies are just saying it's too expensive to build here. We go to the USA or to China. Okay, so you can see after this event, they tried to compensate this with these kind of projects from Africa. So Spain was to become a gas hub for the whole of Europe. However, they didn't have the means to regasify and to send this gas to other European countries. Therefore, they couldn't do much. But as you can see, it's a good route from gas to Africa into Europe. And this was the big grand European plan, okay? Just cut the Russian gas, cut the Russian energy supplies, and then we'll get it from Africa. But it seems like the Africans, we were not happy with this, and then we decided to conduct coups in different countries, okay? I'm joking. Anyways, okay, let's go to Niger again. So why President Tinubu can deploy troops in Niger? This is the Nigerian president, okay? And this is relating to what I told you before, that ECOWAS want to, but the countries that form part of ECOWAS cannot do it, okay? So they're saying senior advocates of Nigeria have, hold on. Well, basically they're saying the reason why he cannot send troops is because he cannot unilaterally deploy troops to Niger Republic to restore democratic rule in the tribal country. They're saying in a separate interviews with Vanguard, the learned Silks maintain that for the armed forces of Nigeria to be deployed on a combat duty in Niger Republic, President Tinubu must secure the approval of the National Assembly. Okay. However, the senior lawyers pointed out that the only time the 1999 Constitution, as amended, permits the president to deploy soldiers to another country without prior approval of the legislative arm of the government is when there is an imminent threat to national security. So the president tried to deploy the Nigerian troops into Niger. However, he couldn't do it because the Constitution did not permit him to do it. In such situation, they stress that the president, having deployed troops outside of the shores of the country, must within 7 days seek approval of the National Assembly, which in turn must take 14 days to either okay or reject the military action. Let me tell you, this was rejected. Therefore, Nigeria could not intervene in Niger to remove the current government. So this is the reason why Nigeria could not do it. And to be honest, do you think Nigeria has the military capacity to invade Niger or to go into Niger and try to impose a new government or reinstate the former government? We'll talk about this later. Anyways, West African bloc prepares for military action as Niger coup d'etat looms. This is what we were discussing before. ECOWAS, they say, yeah, we're going to intervene in Niger, get ready because we're going to get rid of the junta government. But they couldn't do anything. Today was the deadline, okay? 6th of August 2023. Let's see if they do something tomorrow. But so far, we haven't seen anything at all, okay? So this article pretty much, this is from The Guardian, right? Yeah, from The Guardian. It tells you the reason why they decided to intervene in the country, which make no sense. I mean, they're saying that the former president was elected democratically, which is true, and this was the choice of the people, right? The people elected this person. But to be honest with you, if look at this picture. Let's play this video.
For a better barbecue, choose higher welfare RSPCA assured pork and chicken.
2, 1. There you go. So these are the people coming out on the street.
Armes françaises. Armes.
Vraiment, maintenant, nous sommes libres aujourd'hui. Personne n'a pensé que ce jour allait arriver. Et voilà enfin que le peuple nigérien est libre de ce mouvement.
So when the USA, which we're gonna see later, another country say, look at this, look at him. When they say that people want to reinstate the president, it's actually not true. In fact, I will show you another thing here. Look, this we share this in our Telegram profile. Yeah.
Le Conseil national pour la sauvegarde de la patrie rejette en bloc ces sanctions et refuse de céder à toute menace et d'où qu'elle vienne. Nous refusons toute ingérence dans les affaires intérieures du Niger.
And even some Latin American countries are asking for Russia to come and intervene.
Depuis que ça a commencé, on n'est pas sorti de la maison, on était resté à l'intérieur jusqu'à ce qu'on nous a évacués.
L'angoisse parce que les aéroports et les frontières sont fermés.
There you go. Anyways, let's move back. Here. Okay. So, when France comes and say that they want to reinstate order in the country, there is order. People are partying. People are happy with what happened. Therefore, they should be supporting this. Just like they supported coups in other African countries, such as Gambia, for example. They did not say much. They did agree with it. Okay? But when the guys that conduct the military coup, they're against the foreign policies, that's when there is a problem and there is a need for intervention. However, when the military coup happens in a country like Ivory Coast and they remove their president, the elected president, and they impose some rich former worker of the IMF or something, they support it because they know that this person will be benefiting the interests of the West in the country. Okay. So again, this is regarding, I just want to show you more articles. This is from the BBC again. Okay, they're saying that Niger coup, ECOWAS deadline sparks anxiety in northern Nigeria. Very important. The people of northern Nigeria, you're going to see later in the map, and the people in Niger are the same people. They're families in the border, okay? And the Nigerian government, they'll be relying on forces from the south and also forces from the north, which are the family of the people in Niger. So they're going to have difficulties conducting this invasion if they ever do, okay? And this article basically explains this. It says, there you go. Last Sunday, West African leaders gave the coup leader a week to comply with his demands, or he will take all measures, might include the use of force. But in Niger's neighbor, Nigeria, where the bulk of the troops are likely to come from, voices against the involvement of the military are growing louder. Okay, the two countries also have close ethnic and historical ties. On Saturday, Nigeria's Senate urged the government to look at political and diplomatic options. And in the northern Nigerian city of Sokoto, bordering Niger, which is home to the Army's 8th Division, the anxiety is increasing. So these people in the north are saying, we're not having this. You're not going to invade Niger, where our family lives. In fact, many of the people that are in the army, many of the soldiers that are in the army in the north, they are Nigerians basically, okay? Crossing the border is easy between these two countries. So you can read this article, which pretty much explains everything, and it goes through different people that gave the own perspective, their own point of view regarding this, okay? So if Nigeria decides to launch a campaign, military campaign in Niger, this could lead to very serious political problems within the country. There you go. Again, I showed you the video already, but this is an article from The Guardian, British, Just showing you how these guys, or telling you how these guys in Niger are supporting the coup. Look how happy this guy is, okay? There you go. So then one of the first decisions they made is basically revoke the military deals with France. So I think they gave them a couple of weeks. So Niger's junta revoked a raft of military cooperation agreements with France on Thursday, a decision that could drastically reshape a fight against Islamic insurgents in the region after the ouster of President Mohamed Bazoum last week. Like recent coups in neighboring Burkina Faso and Mali, last week's military takeover in Niger came amid a growing wave of anti-French sentiment, with some locals accusing the former colonial ruler of interfering in their affairs. So again, the British criticizing the French, okay? Seems like they're happy with what happened. Anyways, look, something very important here. Fight against Islamist insurgents in the region. What? So yes, there is terrorism, but I don't know why they're pointing at this. As I did say, look, in the case of Mali, France had an agreement with Mali to end with the terrorists in the north, in this region of Tidal, but they didn't do anything. Then the Wagner came in, the Wagner forces from Russia, the Wagner military company came in and pretty much neutralized the situation. And now, look, they have the exact same problem. So it's obvious they know who to call to solve this problem. If you are looking for a person to paint your house, you don't only look at how much it costs, you also look at how well they do it. So they know that the Wagner group are really good at fighting these insurgents, something that the USA and France were not able to do. This article forgets to mention the fact that the USA is also present in the country under the same pretext, fighting terrorism, okay? So we know that the Wagners are in Mali, they are in Burkina Faso, in these bordering countries, right in the border with Niger, okay? So we know who they're gonna call to help them fighting these insurgents. Okay, they finished their military agreements with France against these insurgents. Now we'll see who they're gonna call. It's simple and it's obvious, but this has been heavily criticized by the West, again saying that the Wagner group is colonizing Africa. Anyways, so what did America say about all this? This is Joe Biden's statement, okay? He says, this year, as Niger marks the 63rd anniversary of its independence, it is facing a grave challenge to its democracy. In this critical moment, the United States stands with the people of Niger to honor our decades-long partnership rooted in shared democratic values and support for civilian-led governance. The Nigerian people have right to choose their leaders. They have expressed their will through free and fair elections, and that must be respected. Defending fundamental democratic values and standing up for constitutional order, justice, and the right of peaceful assembly are essential to the partnership between Niger and the United States. I call for President Bazoum and his family to be immediately released and for the preservation of Niger's hard-earned democracy. So they're basically saying that they need to reinstate that president because they like him a lot. He was just following their orders and he needs to be put back in power. Okay, look what this guy, Anthony Blinken, has to say. I spoke to Nigerian President Bazoum today to reiterate that the United States remains committed to the restoration of Niger's democratically elected government and that his and his family's safety are paramount. So the United States is not supporting the coup leaders. However, he's not getting involved either. But they want the former president to be the president of the country. Okay? So what is at stake? The US troops restricted to American bases embassy in Niger. So the US has around 1,000 troops in this country. And as you can see, they have been restricted to the bases. They can't come out of the bases. That means that the US is not even getting involved in this conflict. They don't care much about what's going on. Well, we will see. So they're saying that the US troops in Niger have been restricted to the American military bases and US embassy in Niger as the Biden administration works to restore democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum to power. He's working to restore him. How? when we say they're not getting involved, it might not be directly, but they're trying something, and we will see what that is going to be. Okay, so they're saying we are working really hard, really hard to see if we can turn this around, said senior State Department official on Monday. Since the situation is not yet set and concrete, we think we should try and take that opportunity. Okay, you can read this article as well. Let's go to the next article. What is at stake for the United States in Niger, according to Reuters? So they're saying soldiers in Niger declare military coup on Wednesday, blah blah blah, just explaining what happened. Okay, why is Niger important to the United States? The country, located in semi-arid Sahel region, plays an outsized role in the United States Africa strategy. We're talking about AFRICOM here, okay? Most importantly, it's a key partner for Washington's fight against Islamic insurgents who have killed thousands of people and displaced millions more. US military personnel have been training local forces to fight militant groups. So as you can see, same pretext as France, as I told you before, okay? They're fighting these Islamist insurgents, okay? There was an episode in the past where 4 US soldiers died in Niger. When this happened, it came out in American news. People didn't even know where Niger was in the map, and they didn't even know why the Americans were in Niger, okay? But I mean, you can read this article from the New York Times, which I haven't subscribed to, therefore I cannot read it. But one of the main things the US have in Niger is this. There you go. The US can't use its 110 million drone base in Niger. 110 million drone base. Why is the drone base in Niger? Why are the Americans in Africa, in Niger, one of the poorest countries in the world? What are they doing there? So the US military is unable to fly drones from the base in Niger because the country's airspace has been closed after a coup overthrew the government in late July, a US official said. Known as Nigerian Airbase 201, the installation cost 110 million to build, and it features a 6,200-foot runway for MQ-9 Reaper, as well as manned aircraft. The US military began conducting drone flights from the base in November 2019. Okay, about 1,100 US troops are currently deployed to Niger, according to the First Department. The country is an important partner in the US military's efforts to counter the Islamic State group and other terrorist organizations in Africa. What is this? What is the Islamic State doing in Niger? Anyways, move to the next. So as you can see here, this is the current president of Burkina Faso. So as you can see here, Traoré officially appointed as president of Burkina Faso. This is the guy that went to, that I was mentioning before, that went to all the way to St. Petersburg in Russia, and he gave that anti-colonial speech, okay? And he's one of the main supporters of the coup in Niger. They also took part through a coup, okay? Then other neighboring countries is Mali, where you have this guy, Assimi Goïta, okay, who is also supporting what happened in Niger. He's the interim vice president of Mali, okay. Then you have Algeria. What Algeria says is, we oppose military intervention in Niger, which means that if Western countries or any African countries trying to intervene militarily in Niger, they will oppose it. They did not confirm what they're going to do on this article, but I read another article in which they said that they will see it as a war against Algeria, which means that they will intervene. And as you know, Algeria has been buying quite a lot of military equipment from Russia, mainly anti-aircraft systems. Okay? Okay. Move on. Now we go to the map. For those who don't know where Niger is, it's right here. Okay, so it's bordered by Algeria, it's bordered by Libya, it's bordered by Chad, it's bordered by Nigeria, Benin, Burkina Faso, and Mali. Okay. So as I say earlier, let's remove this. As I say earlier, Algeria is friendly. Mali, what is that thing? Mali is friendly. Then Burkina Faso is friendly. Now we have a few countries here which are not very friendly, okay? Which are Benin, Nigeria, and that's it. These two are part of ECOWAS, and they did say that they might intervene militarily, okay, together with Senegal, okay, which is right here. We don't know how they're gonna make it all the way here. They have to go through Mali. They might go through different countries here, but it's difficult for Senegal to go into Niger, and they have their own political problems internally. There's quite a lot of protests going on, so I don't know how they're gonna support this in terms of logistics and all that. It makes no sense. But the main country that could intervene, the main countries will be Benin and Nigeria. They are the two countries that are bordering Niger. The capital of Niger is right here, so it's not far from the border with Benin and Mali and Burkina Faso and Nigeria. Okay, and then you have Chad, a country where the US is. They also got military bases, but they have many problems with Chad. It's not trustworthy. It's not trustable. You can't trust Chad, to be honest. And then you have also Libya, which is a country that has been attacked by the USA, completely destroyed to date since 2011, and they haven't taken a position on this. However, recently they approached Russia to ask for support against the insurgents and the opposition that are pretty much fighting every single day. Okay. So as you can see here, the only countries that can actually intervene in Niger are Nigeria and Benin. The other ones can provide forces as well, but we don't know how strong that military will be and how they'll manage to get into here. Well, what I wanted to discuss with you is this. You see, you got Mali and then you got Burkina Faso. The Wagner group, which many reports say that they are already in Niger, they are right here in these borders here. Okay, they're already fighting this Islamic State, however you wanna call it, right here. Therefore, it'll be easy for them to intervene and to cut the entering troops from Nigeria and from Benin, mainly from Benin, which I don't know if they're gonna, is it gonna be a strong military force, but according to some data, they have already entered Niger and they are preparing the defenses within the country in order to protect this country. So from the north, there's not much of a threat. And as I say, in the past, 2011, these people from Tuareg, from Libya, they descended all the way to Niger because that's where they're from originally. And these people are also collaborating with the coup leaders, okay? And some people say that the main ones that have driven the coup, okay? So there's no threat from the north. Algeria already confirmed that they're not willing to support an intervention. And then here, most of the borders with other countries, they are friendly borders, apart from Nigeria, Benin, and then Chad. We don't know what they're gonna do, okay? It's not a country that is in a good political situation either, okay? So as you can see, it will be difficult. And maybe Niger has a chance to continue functioning as they are and to seek for improvement of the economy, of the society, etc. Okay. Finally, as I said before, this guy, the Niger coup leader, one of them, meets with Wagner allied junta in Mali. So this guy here, he actually went to Mali. His name is General Salifou Modi. He actually went to Mali to talk to the Wagner forces and ask for support protecting the country in case there is any military intervention. And apparently the Wagner forces have agreed to protect the country. Okay. And finally, I just wanted to go to this tweet, which he says Niger has suspended the export of gold and uranium to France. France suspended aid to Niger after the coup. 1 out of every 3 light bulbs in France is powered with uranium from Niger. Uranium generates electricity jet only 18% of Niger citizens have access to electricity, and also Nigeria has cut electricity to Niger. So I just wanted to finish this with this tweet because it's very important. We're not 100% sure if the export of gold has been suspended and uranium to France, even though Erdogan has said that. I don't think they have done that yet. But the most important fact is that 1 out of 3 light bulbs in France are powered with uranium from Niger. That means that if Niger actually bans the export of uranium to France, 1 out of 3 households, or sorry, 1 out of every 3 bulbs in France will not have electricity. So they're gonna run into a big problem. Okay, and this is right in the middle with this energy crisis with Russia, where they're trying to find different suppliers, but now these suppliers from Africa are actually rebelling against France, other European countries, and they're not willing to follow suit. As you know, the unipolar world is not as we used to know it anymore. Now we have a multipolar world where you have Russia and China advancing in Africa militarily, economically and financially. Okay, and some African countries have seen this as an opportunity to change the current political leadership in the countries and to seek a better future. And unfortunately, some countries, they cannot do this democratically due to the influence from some European countries, Western countries, and they have to do it through a coup d'etat. As you can see in Niger, in Mali and other countries, the population of that country have supported the coup d'etat. Okay, they have agreed with it. Okay, as I always say, this also happened in Ukraine, and the West went along with it and they were happy with it. However, in the situation in Niger, they're not very happy about it. Well, the British are, and the Americans, they're not doing much, but the French are really angry at this. So I ran through a lot of things. It's 1 hour and 11 minutes so far, and I show you quite a lot of articles. So I hope this helps you to understand the situation in Niger. Okay, I gave you detailed information that you can find online. I didn't give you my point of view. Okay, I just ran through different articles to help you understanding what the situation is, what happened, and what is the current situation at the moment. Okay, we continue giving you daily updates, like short videos of 10 minutes or 5 minutes, just to help you understanding what is going on. So make sure to follow us on TikTok, make sure to follow us on Telegram, and also on YouTube, where you'll be able to see this video. Okay, so we will continue informing you.